Well, we are back with another edition of Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. And as ever, there's absolutely loads to talk about. 6 games, 23 goals, and one farewell to a legend. A long farewell. We will get to that. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. So, firstly, we have to address poor Sophie is very sickly today. She's feeling
Not
very
feeling my
unwell.
best.
No, she's got a stinker of a cold, and you're very tired girlies today, aren't we?
Yeah, I just need to clear this out of my system.
Yes, you do.
It's all good.
It's fine. Look,
I
at
can
least
still talk about football.
there's enough space in the head for the football. That's what we care about. We do care about you, though. Getting better. In today's short, sharp episode, we are going to be looking at all the results in the WSL this weekend, as well as the table standings. We'll run over the results in the Championship, where we had maybe a borderline kind of normal-ish week. Very strange. We will chat through Sophie's standout moment of the week. So again, thinking cap on. Is that your thinking cap?
Yeah.
That's a lie. That's my hat.
It's your hat and it's also covering my wet hair. So.
And finally, last but absolutely not least, legend Emma Hayes, of course, has announced that she will be bowing out of the domestic game come the end of the season. So we will look to that as well. We're very sad. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing to our channel so you don't miss anything from Girls on the Ball. We are on all of the digital platforms, so you can follow us there as well. Sophie, you're allowed to take a sip of your coffee. Don't worry, this isn't like branding, okay? It's really obvious what coffee you're drinking, but we're not going to say it unless said coffee brand would like to
Sponsor us.
I mean, that would be your dream sponsor, would it not?
I just get free coffee.
Well,
That's
that would
all
just be oh my god, that's okay. We'll get that in the works. All right, let's get to the WSL. Again, not too many like super major surprises, maybe one or two little upsets here and there. We're going to start with the scores on the doors, as it were. We went to see this one, Aston Villa versus Chelsea on Saturday. 6-0 to Chelsea, an absolute drubbing. Bright, Kirby, Ritten Canderade, Lawrence, Beaver-Jones and Charles getting on the score sheet. Then we had the early kick-off on Sunday. Arsenal 2, Manchester City 1. Steph Catley, Stina Blackstenius and Chloe Kelly with the goals. Liverpool 2, Leicester 1. Lawley, Hobinger and Goodwin with the goals for that one. Spurs 1, Everton 1. Clinton and Galley on the score sheet. West Ham 2, Bristol 3. I was at this one. It was a very nice match. Asai, Thestrup, Ueki, Powell and Aspen with the goals there. And Brighton 2, Manchester United 2. Terland, Toon, Bergsvand and the inevitable Rachel Williams scoring at the death. We're going to start with Aston Villa Chelsea. We were at this one and it was a tough watch.
It was.
Yeah, a decent enough start again from Villa, not capitalising on their chances, but Bright got the opening goal in the 21st and Kirby in the 26th, and it just kind of fell apart from there for Villa.
Yeah, as you said, they started pretty well, but I think the first goal came from a really lackadaisical. That's what
This is your
it's my new word.
word of the week.
I can't say it very well. Defending from Alicia Lehman. She had 2 occasions to clear the ball at the edge of the box, and she just tried to do some fancy stuff. And it didn't come off, and it conceded the corner. And then poor old Rachel Daly, absolutely brilliant saving header on the goal line for the initial phase of the corner. But all of her defenders were just like, oh, I'm going to watch the ball.
What a great save off the line. Where's the ball going?
Rachel. And then it goes to Millie Bright and she hammers it home. And you're just like, that. I think that was the main problem with the whole game. It wasn't so much the attack. And Rachel Daly was literally doing absolutely everything to try and pull her team through on her own. But it's a team sport and you just can't have it with one player. And I remember for the second goal, Carla Ward was screaming at her team to move up the pitch because they were sitting in such a low block and they just didn't move. And then Frank Kirby just...
It was another second phase.
Yeah.
Because again, it was a great save.
Cleared off the line.
A great save from keeper, from Dom Solar.
It was Daniel Turner.
Was it?
Block,
okay.
Yeah.
And then it was, again, another goal. So must be frustrating as well, like second phase
Yeah,
goals.
so the defensive issues are really problematic. I think they've conceded 16 goals so far this season. That's 43% of the total that they conceded for the whole of last year. And it's a serious problem because they just didn't look in any way cohesive or energetic. Or
do you think it's anything to do with there has been some movement around that back line? It doesn't feel like there's an absolute solid 4 that are consistently playing together.
I mean, it could be.
I'm not making excuses, by the way. I'm
those
just
four,
trying to figure it out.
Turner, Patton and Pacheco played together most of last season. They might have had Rachel Corsie in the middle there, but like there was a pretty much, they know each other pretty well.
Yeah,
it's not like they're a brand new back four. It's like they've been pretty established for a while, and I don't know why they're not seeing the best out of themselves, or why they can't just show the energy. And I think Lucy Stan didn't have the most brilliant of games in the middle either. I think everyone's just a step off. Yeah,
it also felt like the changes weren't coming quick enough. I felt like Charles was getting the better of Lehman every time. I didn't feel like she was providing enough defensive cover. And when Ebony Salmon came on, she made a difference. She gave some spark. I mean, at that stage, it felt like it was too late. But I do feel like she's very good at getting back and providing some defensive cover. So I'm surprised, actually, she didn't start the game. And it was a shame that Daly wasn't back. She was meant to be. We weren't sure, was she going to be back on the bench? But no, unfortunately not. So hopefully we'll see her again during the week. But Hansen was back. But yeah, plenty for Villa to do. They've got some would say kind of more manageable fixtures, I guess, coming up in November, and Conti Cup, where they're going to want to pick up points. I think we could probably say we knew Chelsea were probably going to win this game, but I think the manner in which Villa lost will be very disappointing. Emma Hayes, though, was delighted post-match. She probably knew as well there was some breaking news coming in just 30 minutes after kickoff. From a very noisy Villa Park, here's what she had to say about their win.
We're mustard. Today, I thought we were simply superb. I'm excited. We've got some really talented players. We've got some talented young players coming through, and I think you could see it in full view. It was brilliant.
And understandably, on like the complete opposite side of the scale was a devastated Carla Ward. I thought she was pretty good in front of Sky. I thought she spoke quite well in front of Sky about, you know, what the team's going through.
She's honest. That's what you like. That's what you want from those interviews, is honesty. And I think too often in this game we don't get it. But I think she was very, very honest in that interview, and it really does impress when you don't see it that often.
We will, of course, get to that announcement that we just referenced. Came after the final whistle. Perhaps, you know, they are friends, Emma and Carla. Maybe Emma was like, you know what, I'll just take a little bit of the heat off Carla here by dropping this announcement now. But no, we got home, a rainy day, a grim day all round, but not for Chelsea. But then we got home, turned around and came out the next day for some more WSL fixtures. And both of us had an eye on Arsenal, Man City. Blockbuster game of the weekend. I think many of us were expecting City to get all 3 points from this game, just purely from the way both teams have started this season. Arsenal have struggled, but this fixture always delivered. Last season's Bournemouth clash was an exciting one. This one was just as good. You know, we were talking about who was going to start, given there were so many players away at the Asia Cup, but sure, fuck it, he needs a rest. They were all there pretty much in the starting lineup, and Arsenal took the lead, definitely against the run of play.
Yeah, they did. I think City started really well. Arsenal's defence were like, what the hell are we doing? They were all over the place a little bit.
But keeping the ball out?
They're keeping the ball out, but there were just a lot of turnovers, I think, as well, in that opening stages. But Steph Catley took her opportunity when it came, and then, boy, was it a brilliant goal. And I think I tweeted saying, you know, I couldn't get a stand-up straight properly for days after getting off the plane from Australia. And Steph Catley goes and does that. Same with Caitlin Ford, how she had so much energy just to keep running and running and running after having been in Perth for the whole of the last week. But yeah, it was, I think the chances, Gareth Taylor was a bit grumpy post-match, and I think understandably he thought his team had created enough, which they probably did, to win the game, but they couldn't put it in the back of the net, or
on target,
and you get punished for that. And yes, it was a big mistake from Chiara Keating. I don't want to dwell too much on that because, you know, stuff happens, and it's football.
She'd saved a penalty.
Goalkeepers make mistakes, and so really, really unfortunate for her. I felt really sorry for her because she's young and something she'll learn from, but I think when you don't take your chances, you're always susceptible to those kind of those mistakes or everything, or just one chance down the other end.
That's it. So I just think, the idea of being robbed was maybe a little bit over the top, and apologies, first of all, if you can hear it, they've decided to start drilling up our road, apparently, this morning. So Monday morning's a great time for that. He was pretty grumpy post-match, accused Eideveld of bullying the fourth official in the same interview that he complained about the referees never giving them penalties and only ever giving them to their opposition. So that was kind of funny.
Slightly ironic.
But we'll see what comes of that accusation and whether Eideveld will face any punishment.
I wouldn't imagine he will, given that the referee didn't do anything about it.
She wasn't shy of giving out cards, so I'm surprised if the fourth official was being harassed by Eideveld that she didn't say, come here to me, get over here and book this fella.
Exactly.
He's wearing the ear off
I doubt anything will come for it. Eideveld said nothing had happened on the touchline either, so I think so. And then Arsenal came out and said they were very disappointed with the news, the comments from Darren.
Interesting. Well, it was a big win nonetheless for Arsenal. They're up to 5th now. However, 2nd to 5th are all on 10 points, which is absolutely bonkers. So goal difference separating them. Then we had Liverpool-Leicester. This was looking to be a tasty fixture. Both sides starting the season well. A tough one to call. I probably maybe gave Leicester the edge in this one, just because I think they've maybe been a little bit more consistent in their performances. How did you see this one going? It was 0-0 at half-time as well.
It was. I think it was always going to be a tight affair. I think Liverpool probably deserved the win. I don't think Leicester really created all that much.
Yeah.
2 absolutely superb goals. So Mel Lawley's is an absolute one to watch, as is Missy Goodwin's. Both absolutely superb. And then Marie Herminger in the 84th minute with the strike. She's in some form at the moment. I think she's probably up there as one of the signings of the season in the WSL. She's really made her mark at Liverpool after coming in the summer. So she got the winner. But I think Willie Kirk had the edge on Matt Beard for a long time, and Matt Beard suddenly wrenched it back. So he'll be really pleased with that, especially he was so disappointed after that draw at West Ham, and the fact to get it over the line against probably one of their rivals in that mid-table area. Yeah, it'll be absolutely crucial for them.
For sure. It does move them up to 4th in the table as well. If I'm right, I'm trying to remember the table off the top of my head here. Then we had Spurs 1, Everton 1. You were at this one. Spurs may be deserving of the win. I think we probably would have given Spurs the edge in this one, given the way they've started.
They probably were. They edged possession, I think, and then I think they created something like 20 chances with 11 on target. So they were dominant in that respect. I think Everton had 5 or 6 and then maybe 1 or 2 on target. So, yeah, they did definitely in that respect. But didn't actually feel like they were running away with the game.
Okay.
When you were watching it, there were lulls in plays for quite a lot of the half. Then there would be a flurry of activity from Spurs. Brian Sorensen was not afraid to change up his team, so he made some changes when, especially in the start of the second half, Spurs were just running straight through Everton's midfield and creating quite a lot from that. So he changed things up and he brought Tony Duggan to make things more direct, and it did make a difference. Courtney Brosnan in goal, she was flying, made an absolute stunning double save off Martha Thomas, who did everything she could to get the ball in the back of the net, but it just was not going for her.
Is it the curse of the player of the month?
It might be.
I think that's what happens. You get named player of the month and suddenly you're like, ugh.
So I do, in a way, Spurs did enough to win, but then they also didn't do enough to win.
Yeah.
They couldn't be clinical enough, and I think that's such a valuable point to go back up to Merseyside with. For Everton, they've got a really tough week coming up. They've got Man United in the Cup and then Chelsea in the league at the weekend.
Easy.
So it's a good foundation point.
Yeah.
And their squad is threadbare. It really is struggling.
Natalie Bjorn was injured, wasn't she? Which is the last thing they needed.
Justine Van Havermaet went into the back line because I guess she's tall and can defend, but they really are struggling for bodies, I guess. So it's the fact that they managed to get a result was big.
Yeah, and Spurs now are still 3rd in the table, which they'll be delighted with. Everton in 10th. Then we had West Ham 2, Bristol 3. I was at this game, and this was fun. Can
I just say, what is it about the Chigwell Construction Stadium that provides absolute corkers of games?
I don't know.
I remember last year I was at 3-3 between Reading and West Ham, or was that the year before?
5-4 you did.
Yeah. Brighton and West Ham last year, and then Reading and West Ham the year before. It's just absolutely crazy.
And these two teams, I think going into this, these two teams are 2 of the lowest scoring teams in the league, and here they are providing absolute like goal fest. West Ham went ahead through a penalty through Asai. I think, deservedly they'd started well. What was frustrating about West Ham though was that a lot of the chances they were creating weren't on target. I think they were maybe, particularly in the second half, lacking a little bit creatively, but they went ahead anyway through a penalty. Unfortunate one from Megan Connolly. It was one of those close range shots. There wasn't really anywhere she could have put her hands, but she more than made up for it in the game. But Bristol kept the pressure up, got themselves a goal through former West Ham player as well, Vestrup, which is, that always seems to happen. And then they went ahead through Ella Powell, who we probably didn't expect to be putting the ball away, but I think again it was a second phase. I think a save or a clearance, and she'd come in on the back post.
Did the acrobatic.
Yes, almost scissor kick, yeah. And that was 5 minutes later, so they went ahead 2-1. West Ham did well though to level things up at the death of the first half. It was like 45 plus 3, Ueki getting that goal. So bloody hell, 2-2 at the break. Birmingham, and I was sitting there at half time thinking, like, how many more goals are we going to get in this? Because there were chances coming, but maybe neither team being as clinical as they should be. But then it ended up just being the one goal, a second half goal from Aspen. Beautiful free kick from Megan Connolly. Like I said, made up for that handball. She was at the back, sliding tackles on what looked set to be goals for West Ham, and she was there blocking them. So another lovely assist from her. Great header. Bristol ended up it was a little bit scrappy. It was gutsy. The rain started to fall at the end, and they showed some real grit, I think, to hang on to that lead. And I think Ryanskin was a little bit frustrated at their lack of creativity when they needed it most. But huge 3 points for Bristol.
Yeah, and I think maybe as a neutral, it's actually really nice that Bristol have got their first win of the season. I think for the last couple of years, the team pushed up, promoted from the Championship, has always struggled to get that first win. And Leicester's been in their relegation battle for a couple of years. They didn't get their first win. I know it wasn't their promotion season, but they didn't get their first win last year until after January or something. Yeah. So the fact that Bristol managed to get it so early in the season gives them a really good building point. I think Lauren Smith really, really understands that team. She used to be there. She went away to do some manager stuff, and then she came back a couple of years ago in the Championship to bring them up. So it's her club. She really, really identifies with it, and I think it's really positive. I think they've shown real learnings from their each game to each game. I think everyone wrote them off at the start of the season when they lost to Leicester, and then they fell to Tottenham, and then they suffered that heavy defeat to Manchester City. But I do think there were points in all of those games that they could build on despite the heaviness of the defeat. Yeah,
and I said that to Lauren Smith afterwards about, it was almost probably frustrating that the international break came after that good performance against Arsenal, but actually they managed to maintain that, confidence going into this game. So I feel like there was a level of consistency despite that gap in the middle with the international break. But yeah, delighted for them. Go on, give your nose a blow. Are you struggling? And then the final game, I got lucky here because there was like a little bit of a delay to kick off, but I got in just after 6:45 to sit down and to watch.
How do you not have an ambulance at a professional football match?
Well, this is it, right? When you messaged me and said there was a delay and there was no ambulance, and I said that's random, and you replied saying, well, there needs to be an ambulance at a game, and I was like, no, I'm aware of that, but it's quite random that they didn't realise that there wasn't an ambulance until right before kick-off.
Where is it?
Anyway, so it did kick off, and it ended 2-2, and you could argue that Brighton would feel Mel Phillips afterwards said, look, when it was 1-1 and, we thought we were going to get a draw out of this, we would have been pretty happy. But to have scored the goal in the 89th minute, to have scored the goal in the 89th minute, you would think you're coming away with all 3 points. 7 minutes of injury time, which then carried on into the 100th minute for some reason. But who else to get that equaliser but Rachel Bloody Williams?
She's inevitable.
She's incredible.
I think, it was a really interesting battle. I think Brighton can have their heads held high. They've shown real progress, and I think they even showed it against Chelsea. I know they got beaten 4-2.
No, they did in the second half.
But they showed a lot of grit and character in that game to get a goal back at the end. But also they could have nicked another one, I think. And I think they really fought hard in Crawley yesterday. They showed exactly what they can do with their attack. Their first goal, taking the lead. They absorbed Manchester United's early pressure.
But again, not on target. They created the same amount of chances on target with half, and Brighton had half the amount of chances created.
Yeah. So they absorbed that kind of early pressure, but then the press to win back the ball for the opening goal was absolutely superb.
It was textbook.
Yeah, and then it like they've really been missing a properly fit Elizabeth Hurland in the middle because she adds a different dimension to their attack. She's fit now. She was there in the middle waiting for the ball, and she is a superb finisher. So she managed to get her goal. So I think that just showed what Mel Phillips is trying to do with Brighton, and they just need to do it more consistently. Yes, Man United were going to come back into the game. They were trying and trying. I have to say Jay-Z's finishing is questionable. And the more frustrated she gets, the worse it gets.
Yeah, so, I guess that happens.
And I think it was Amy Rusky saying why, and I agree, why wasn't he playing Melvin Mallard as the central striker? Because she has shown already that she can finish chances. So there are a couple of questions around that. But yeah.
Ella Toone,
I'm so happy for her.
Getting on the score sheet.
What's that phrase? It's form is temporary, class is permanent. And we all know she's not been in form for a while now. I think she probably knows it herself, that she's not been performing to the best of her abilities, but that goal will do her absolute wonders.
And what a goal it was. It was peak Ella Toone. And it was funny because Mark Skinner had been asked about her form in the pre-match press conference, and he was like, he's not worried about it. Ella knows that she's what she needs to work on. He said you often don't see, if you're not assisting or scoring goals, people don't think you're doing well, and he was kind of touching on the fact that she often assists the assisters, etc. But he did say the goals would come.
I totally understand that, but also there is no hiding from the fact that she's not been for club and country. She's not been in the. But
your manager's not going to come out and say
no.
So he was protecting her.
His job,
but also it obviously gave her the boost she needed, and she got that goal, and it was a beautiful strike. And hopefully that just lifts her now, and she can start feeling a little bit more confident.
Can we also just talk about the keepers?
The keepers were probably...
Sophie Bagley is surely on for an England call-up if she carries on at this rate.
Unbelievable.
Her triple save against... she made so many saves in the game against Chelsea, including 9. A superb triple save. That was just in the first half, wasn't it? 9 saves. And she followed it up again yesterday with that big save off Mizawa in the early stages. Then the triple save off Millie Turner in the corner.
Yeah, it was like a low save, and then she was kind of ended up on the ground. She saved it on the ground, and then it came out to someone right on the tight corner on the post, and she got her fingertips to the ball as it was coming over towards the post, and then she just it was like, how is it happening? I've played goal in hockey before. I know it's not the same, but when you have those games where even you're sitting there going, how am I getting to everything? This is ridiculous. It felt like one of those matches.
It had to be something super special to get past her, and that was Ella Toone's goal. And I think you can't really blame her for the late equaliser either, because
it was entirely the other side of the goal.
Dropped. I think Turland dropped Rachel Williams at the corner.
Or Bergsvad, I think it was.
Or maybe Bergsvad.
But also it just went over her defender's head and stuff as well. So yeah. But also Mary Earps.
Absolutely superb. And then Mary Earps, just before she'll be really kicking her teammates, because just before...
Maybe don't do that, Mary.
Just before Bergsvan's goal, she made a really, really stunning save off where she somehow managed to tip a goal-bound curler over the crossbar for the corner. Literally did everything. It was an absolutely stunning save. And then her team don't mark properly on the corner, and they concede.
Yeah, it'd be raging.
It'd be
But no, it was a very exciting game and a very exciting end to the weekend. A bit like Arsenal-Bristol, that previous late kick-off on the previous match day, where it was 2-1, another exciting one. So I'm quite enjoying these late evening kick-offs, but we'll be at the next one next week, which is Leicester-Arsenal. So hopefully more excitement there. To the Championship we go. A normal-ish week. Sunderland remain on top this weekend on 21 points, with Southampton and Charlton on 18 below them, which is kind of similar to what it was the last time we spoke. Results were Lewis 0, Charlton 1. Rage and we missed that match. Looked like a fun one on Friday evening. They were doing lots of bonfire night related activities. Durham 0, Sunderland 1, Birmingham 2, Reading 1, Blackburn 0, London City Lionesses 3. That's a bit of a surprise. Southampton 2, Sheffield 1, and Palace 3, Watford 0. So nothing hugely surprising this weekend, but just you never know.
Just to remark what kind of form Sunderland are in. I think they're the only team that remain unbeaten in the league. and I did not pick them to be near the top. So in my predictions, I thought they'd be like towards the bottom of mid-table, and they've actually come out swinging this season, and they're all guns blazing. Long may it continue.
We are, as I've said earlier, we're going to come to Sophie's standout moment of the week. It is coming up. Have you thought of something? Maybe. Okay, but we've got to talk about the big announcement on Saturday after the match. Emma Hayes, she will be stepping down at the end of the season. Majority of outlets are saying she's going to the US women's national team job, which wouldn't be a huge surprise. I think it would be a match made in heaven between those two. They're getting an out-and-out winner, and she's getting arguably one of the best jobs in the women's game. So it's a pretty good matchup. But I'm glad she's getting this long goodbye, because you need that amount of time to recognise the impact she's had on the game.
I think I've said it in my piece about her for The Guardian.
Do read it. It's a lovely piece that Sophie wrote about Emma Hayes, and she won't plug it herself.
I said in my piece...
Look at her rolling her eyes. Look, giving you praise.
In my piece for The Guardian, I said, often in football you don't get time. You don't get to say goodbye on your own time, or is it all too often that you're either sacked or something in football,
or it happens at the end of the season,
or for a player you leave and you just disappear without saying goodbye. I think it's really suitable that Emma Hayes, after 12 years at Chelsea, gets to say her goodbye. She's changed that team from basically nothing, to a serial winning, ruthless streak side that has dominated the women's game in this country for the last at least 6, 7, 8 years, if not decades. So, she's built a winning machine, and the amount of trophies, I think she's won 13 major trophies. It's crazy. So she's left her mark, but not just on the pitch, but also off the pitch. And like, the way that she views her responsibilities to change the sport as well and help progress it along is absolutely key. The way that she mentors younger managers. I know we've talked about her friendship and, mentorship of Carla Ward, and Carla Ward says
Tanya Ox to be
another one. She has always seen her responsibility within the game as well, I think, and taken it a step further. So England will miss her. I'm sure we're all going to become USA fans now if that sounds
crazy.
Well, no, but we'll have a soft spot.
We want to see her
USA,
do well. Yes,
if she signs that contract. So, it's sad, but I think also kind of not surprising.
No, I think both of us had a chat about it at the end of the season, of last season actually, about Emma Hayes and what we thought was going to come next. So timing may be a surprise, but maybe the announcement not a huge surprise. I do hope that this announcement gives Chelsea even more incentive to win the Champions League this season, because that would be the absolute ultimate way to bow out of the game, finally winning that trophy. But yeah, as you said, it's difficult to really sum up and measure her impact on the game, not just at Chelsea, but I think when you create a team as good as them, you force everybody else to improve in order to catch up. And my God, teams in England have improved. There's no doubt about that, but still Chelsea have managed to maintain their dominance, and that says a lot about her as a manager. And she's brought in some incredible players, which again I think is a nod to what she's like as a coach.
And I've seen a lot of comments, like we've had a few comments when we put up the post saying, how will Chelsea survive? They will. She has built foundations in that club that won't fall apart as soon as she goes. They're there for the longevity. She brought over the summer, she brought young players in that are for the future. She's brought in quality and a lot of young potential that can serve Chelsea well for the next few years. So I wouldn't be too worried. I don't think it's like
it's not disastrous.
It's not disastrous. It's not like a Sir Alex Ferguson situation where he maybe held on too long, managed to get the last title and then decided to leave, but already the club was kind of...
Oh God, we're going to have United fans in our comments.
On the downward spiral, I think. So
there's solid foundations there.
Yeah, solid foundations in place. And yes, it's going to be a blow losing your leader after that long, but I think they are in the best possible place to recover from it.
Gone at the right time. We will miss you, Emma. Okay, finally, we're getting to that time of the podcast. Sophie, your standout moment of the week is... Why is there such a gap? I've given you so much warning that this is coming.
Because they've both gone out of my head. So the first one is, I read, I think Molly Hudson with the Times did her interview with Mary Earps, where Mary Earps was basically saying the whole iconic moment at the World Cup
F off!
Where she shouted F off, and why we all had the T-shirts of it, wasn't really in her character, and she doesn't. She
Mary.
And then the first thing she does is when there was her defence didn't do properly, and she claimed the ball at the near post, and she landed in the ball, and she was like, F off!
So loud. It's not
So
in my
loud.
character.
I was like, you need to stop doing that, Mary. If you're gonna
Keep doing it and embrace it.
Yeah, just embrace it. Either stop or embrace it. So I think that was an absolute highlight. And I was actually, I know we've talked about it already, but I think Sophie Bagley's performance was my
Goalkeepers.
standout moment.
But I think there's been some incredible goalkeeping performances in general over this.
Yeah, but I think especially with Sophie, like she went to United, she was the understudy to Mary Earps for so long. I certainly felt from her time at Birmingham and Bristol that she had the opportunity to be a first place goalkeeper in any team in the WSL, below maybe the top two, because they already got such a strong goalkeeping set. So she stayed at United for a long time, wasn't really seen, and I think now that she's finally getting first team football in a place where they trust her and she's able to thrive is absolutely brilliant to see. And maybe, yes, she's 26, but like she's still got plenty of goalkeeping years in her, and maybe it will be a good solution for England, whose current third and fourth keepers, or second
and
third keepers,
depends who's there, but yes, aren't getting first team football.
Aren't playing first team. Hannah Hampton and Ellie Roebuck can't even make the matchday squads for their teams. So if Serena Wiegman wants a goalkeeper that's playing regularly, Sophie Bagley's the one to go to.
Sophie Bagley's your gal. All right, thank you for that. So coming up this week, we've got Conti Cup. On Wednesday, we will be at Reading versus Southampton. And on Thursday, Arsenal versus Bristol. Then we have a Saturday off. Shocker. And we're both then going to be up in Manchester covering the blue side and the red side on Sunday. I'm doing Man City versus Brighton. You are doing Man United versus West Ham. And then we will be heading down to cover Leicester versus Arsenal on the way home. So another jam-packed episode next week, no doubt. But until then, make sure to subscribe to the podcast or on YouTube. And if there's anything you'd like us to touch on or you want to drop us a message, reach out on social. We would love to hear from you. But until then, ciao.